Okay, so this will be the second inspection I've done with this headset on, and I don't have the buyers here yet, but there's some things that you do to obviously get things started. And the first of those is getting access to the house. So I wanted to record this. First thing I'm going to do is be very careful about we don't know if somebody's in there or not. So last thing you want to do is walk in on somebody and have them get pissed off at you, or better yet, shoot you, because you're the unknown and unwanted intruder. So we give them some time to talk, but no matter where you are at, there's probably going to be key box holders like this guy here, and they're intended for realtors to be able to get into, but home inspectors can do it too. You've got to talk to those guys and find out what you've got to do to get yourself access, because it's kind of like not having a website. You're kind of not real if you don't have your own way of getting into the house. If you're relying on a realtor to get you in, then that's not awesome. And if you want to be in business for a while, you signal awesome every chance you get. Okay, so I got the key, and this is why I ring the bell, is because if I just let myself in and somebody's in there, yeah, that gets uncomfortable. So I'm going to knock on the door, in addition to the doorbell that I rang, and just be very careful about this. Okay, well, here we go. Hello, home inspector. So you can see the home is staged, or it looks very clean, and we'll be getting into that again. Now, because of where I'm at, and I don't like to put the key in my pocket, because I'm always concerned about walking away with it. So I'll put it in the front door. Obviously, there's some places where you can't do that, but that's what I do most of the time. All right, we're in. Now I just got to wait for the buyer to show up, and we will get started. So since I have a minute, and before they show up, I might as well go over the tools that I keep in my tool belt. Obviously, there are others that I will also keep. You can see that here on my Jeep, I actually have the ladder tied onto the back side. You can of course put a ladder inside the Jeep, but I don't like to be folding the back seats up and down like that, and I don't want my ladder tearing up my Jeep. So I put that way. Got to have a ladder. Going through this, of course, I've got a screwdriver. This is the cheapest thing that I probably use the most often. Home Depot, $5 or whatever. This guy here is, with this nifty little tool, is how I can open breaker box panel covers, and I can just hold that there. That's an awesome little invention. This guy here, just a water tester. You've seen these before. A lot of these are very simple pieces of equipment. This tests for an electrical field, which is helpful if you've got, maybe if you're testing a 220, like a dryer or a stove outlet, and if you've got two-prong outlets, then you can't test with a plug like this. So you got to use one of these guys, and you just turn these things on. You put it near the outlet, and it'll tell you if there's power there. Then over here I have carbon monoxide tester and a digital thermometer. Here I have the thermal camera that lets me see what things look like. You'll want to get one variety of those. This is a moisture meter, and that is what is in my tool built. And now we'll meet the client. You'll see that I try to develop a relationship, and it's all about them. How are you?
Hey, how are you doing? I'm Dave.
I'm Garth.
Nice to meet you.
Good to meet you. So, tell me a little bit about you and the home.
Yeah, so we're the buyers, potentially, and we're just looking to see what's going on here with the house.
Okay. All right. What do you do for a living?
I am an assistant accountant, basically.
Assistant accountant.
Yeah.
I've got an ex-wife and a son-in-law that are accountants.
Oh, wow.
You said Dave, right?
Yep.
Are you married?
Yes. I've got my wife on the phone. She can hear me, so.
Okay, got it. What's her name?
Rebecca.
Rebecca.
Yep.
Okay. Got it. This guy here, I'm recording for home inspectors.
Oh, cool.
We're gonna be training home inspectors so that I can get a guy going maybe in Ohio or Shanghai or whatever.
Nice. Well, I heard you were the best, so.
Well, I pay a few people a nickel a week to say that. Who was it that referred you to me?
Michael Burns.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mike's a good dude.
He is. Yeah, I really like him. He just told me he got COVID, unfortunately.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I just got a text from him. So.
Yeah, I think he wanted to stay home and watch Gilligan's Island or something.
He must have, Thanksgiving weekend.
Really?
So.
He's got a tryptophan overdose or something.
Yeah.
Okay, just hang close and ask lots of questions.
Okay.
A lot of times people will wonder if they're in my way or whatever, and I like you to be in my way.
Okay. Yeah.
And you say you're an accountant. How long have you been doing the accountant thing?
Well, just about a year and a half or so. I'd say 2 years. I helped my brother with his small company that I helped him get up and going. And I didn't know I wanted to do accounting until about 3 or 4 years ago, and that's when I started learning about accounting. I'm 31.
Uh-huh.
And before that, I was doing client service management and, just in school at the University of Utah. Then I started taking classes at SLIC and University of Utah. Now I'm taking classes at WGU because it's cheaper. And
What's your handyman level?
so I managed a twin apartment for about 5 years. I fixed toilets, sinks, and
Awesome.
Discarded disposals and broken copper burst pipes and
A lot of plumbing. Any electrical or?
Not electrical.
Okay.
But yeah, mainly just plumbing, I guess, and fixing appliances that break.
Okay. So I've already got us in. I've opened the door. There's nobody there apparently. I rang and knocked and nobody answered. So we'll get started on the outside. What year and how many square feet have we got?
1984 and about 1,700 square feet. So 1984, 1986. I've been looking at a lot of houses lately.
Okay. Well, that gives me a flavor. How far is your commute?
It's about 16 minutes from here to my work. But from where I'm currently at, I'm up in Bountiful, so it's about 45 minutes away.
Oh,
from here.
This is much better. You're probably over in Sandy somewhere?
No, I'm in Bountiful.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm Layton area, Kaysville, Layton.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a commute.
Yeah, my work's over in West Valley.
Okay. So, I pay more attention to things that are broken and damaged and non-functional, and less attention to things that are unpretty.
Yep.
That's for you, and unpretty is for you and your wife to decide. So, I'm not paying a lot of attention to the cracks in the yeah, and it's not draining in or towards the house. So for me, this is just unpretty. So this isn't necessarily, from my point of view, what you hired me for.
Right.
So yeah, that's one of the reasons I like to have you here, so you can see that kind of stuff, but doesn't necessarily make the report. You see how the I've forgotten the word. The beam supporting the house above the garage. You see how that sags a little?
Yeah.
Maybe we can see what's going on from inside the garage. But you know, and if we had a more brittle material like this rather than the siding, then that would tell us things too. But the siding is going to be very flexible, so if there is a structural stress, we're not going to see it very well through the siding.
Right.
So we're going to have to take a closer look at that, decide if that's going to be a structural problem.
That's what I want you to look at.
Yeah. Now, you see where the plaster goes only a certain distance down.
It's because the water's getting to it.
Yeah, where the soil is settling, and so the original soil level used to be much higher, and yeah, we got to keep water away from the foundation. So if that settles anymore, A, you're going to be ponding near your foundation. B, we've got this rain gutter downspout that isn't getting water away. So you're going to want to do a couple of things here. One is hook up a drain tube that runs out at least to where we're standing, preferably behind me a little bit. B is add more soil here. C is don't spray the house with the sprinklers. You know, you see that this window right here is all fogged up.
Yeah.
That's because we're soaking the house with the sprinklers, and that's just begging for trouble.
Yeah.
So I'm going to write in, let's see, drainage toward the foundation.
Becca, can you hear him?
Can she hear me?
A little bit, but it's probably just because I'm using my AirPod.
Yeah. So, and this is the drainage thing, and I find that drainage problems happen at every house, but pretty much every house also has flooded basements from time to time, and nobody wants to deal with that.
Yeah.
So drainage is basically just means keep water away from your house, which is your sprinklers, your roof drainage, and your surface slope, and you've got issues in all of the above here.
Yeah. The house in Sandy that I used to own, my parents' home, real big, about 4,000 square feet. Wow. Anyway, we had drainage. We had those exact issues. We had the extension pipes for all the rain gutters because they would flood different parts of the house if we didn't do it.
Let's see, drainage toward foundation, don't spray the house, and what's the other one? Drain tubes. Okay. How much land have you got here?
I don't remember. It's probably a .17.
Okay. Yeah, this all this calcium that you've got on that window, that just means you're begging for problems. I had one friend who called me up one day, realtor, she'd used me for years, and she says, I didn't use you as a home inspector because I wanted to save the money. And she says, I just found a wall full of termites.
Oh no.
And then she asked if I would have hired you, would you have found them? And so it turned out it was this kind of a setup. They'd been soaking the window for years. The termites had found it and just eaten it away.
Oh wow.
And so I wasn't in a terribly generous mood. I twisted the knife a little bit. I said, if you would have hired me, you would have never had the termites. So, yeah, you want to avoid that. Now, a couple things going on here. One is that this is a smaller sized, I call them pyramid cracks. You see how you got a crack going down here and then back up there?
Yeah.
Structurally, that's not a problem. But I wanted you to see it. You see that the plaster is no longer attached.
Yeah.
And structurally, that's not a problem. That's an appearance thing. In certain circles, these guys here are called mouse elevators.
Mouse elevators?
Uh-huh.
Uh-oh.
So a mouse you know, finds his way up here, and then he's into the mouse elevator, and then he has access to your house. So you'll want to just plug up the bottom of that. Okay. They put.
Yeah, he'll come around and follow for us. I can let you go back if you like.
And I might be able to put this video. I'm going to put it on YouTube, and maybe I'll just send you a link.
Okay.
I don't know if we can get the whole inspection, but so.
They have to put something between the chain link and their dogs. They're kind of weird.
Yeah. Do you have kids?
No. But we have a pit bull Dalmatian mix, and my wife's telling me that he's known for fighting through chain link fences.
Oh wow.
So it's more only if he doesn't like the dog, I guess. But yeah.
Well, dogs tend to get. What did I get on myself? A little more feisty when there's a fence to.
To bark through.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you got a 2.5 ton unit there. You said that we had 1,700 square feet. Using rough home inspector math, that worked. Now you've got basically a rambler with a basement here. Is that right?
It's a split level.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. 2.5 tons. Using rough home inspector math is barely adequate. So you may be cursing a little in the summer.
Okay. The company I work for is ASCO Services,
Uh-huh.
and so they might be able to help me get a better unit. I need to.
100 amps is a good number for a house this size. A crack like that is not significant from a structural point of view. Are the people gone, or are they still living here?
I believe they're gone.
So, one of the rules I'm supposed to use is that I leave the home the way I found it. I hate to do that because I don't want to put this guy back on. Yeah, because it shouldn't be on. But I'm supposed to leave the home the way I found it. So, we'll do that. You'll just want to make sure you get it off.
I'll make sure when we go inside, we'll make sure the AC unit's turned off or it's not switched to cool out.
Yeah. You're also going to want to, thank goodness we've had warm days thus far this winter, but you don't want to leave a hose on, or you're going to freeze things. This is an older faucet that would be prone. Now you've got 120 psi, which is a lot.
Should it be like max 110?
Yeah, I like to see them between 40 and 90.
Okay.
And so really this is a measure of the city, but where it should be turned down via the pressure reducer inside the house.
Yeah. So it might be a bad pressure reducer valve.
Yeah, or none at all, given the age. So I'm going to write in we got 120, and that's high.
See, I've been going through a whole bunch of different invoices at my work. I've gone through the electricians and the plumbers, and so I see the prices of everything. And so I've seen a lot of the common household issues that they've been repairing lately.
On this house?
No, just in general.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know how to fix them. I know of the problems though. So.
Right. So you see the paint here is not exactly doing well.
Right.
And they used just regular lumber rather than redwood or Trex. Mm-hmm. Do you have a budget for updating things?
Yes, I do. It's an uncomfortable budget, but yes.
Okay, so it might not make it all the way to the deck.
Right. I was thinking for the deck, for when we first get the home, we'd probably have to sand it down and repaint it.
Right.
Because Trex is really expensive, especially right now.
Yes, it is.
But the wood's in okay repair, I thought.
Yeah, it's not bad considering it's been ignored.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to write in that the deck needs maintenance. Now as you look at this rain gutter here, you see we're full of leaves, and we don't have the gutter the gutter doesn't extend. These guys are under the very mistaken impression that rain gutters are to keep people from being dripped on, and it's really about controlling water near your foundation. So I'm going to write in gutters need maintenance and not installed. And a sentence like that doesn't make any sense, but you know what I'm trying to say.
Yep.
Okay, if you were a squirrel, could you get onto the roof?
Oh yeah. Easily.
Yeah. Next question is, raccoons, mice, rats, etc. That would be harder.
Yeah.
But yeah, you don't need raccoons in your chimney.
No.
So I'm going to write in to trim the tree.
Yeah, I sent this paper this morning showing what work that they had done recently, or well, what they were aware of. It said they replaced the roof in 2019, and new AC furnace units this year, July.
Oh, that's awesome. So we'll get on the roof a little later. I just wanted to see what we've got. You see those 4 black vents up there near the top? Those are turtle vents, and that's good news. Yeah, those dogs are, if you've got a dog that tends to be aggressive, they're not going to be friends.
Yeah, some of our neighbors have dogs. All of 3, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4.5 neighbors.
Uh-huh.
3 of our neighbors have dogs.
Yeah, and they're all bigger ones.
And they're all bigger ones.
And 2 of them.
Yeah. There's 2 of me. No, it doesn't.
So, roots go where water is. If you water often and shallow, then that's where the roots are going to be.
Yeah, it's going right towards the house.
Yeah. Yep. So if you ever did decide to lose this tree, it's entirely possible that you're going to have a set of roots under your foundation, etc. Boy, yeah, two big dogs over here too.
2 dogs on each fence, Becca.
Dang.
Okay, we officially have 6 fence neighbors, and yeah, see that one over there has another dog as well.
Uh-huh.
So out of wow, yeah, well, that's fun. Okay.
If you've got a dog that is going to be aggressive, and it looks like that one's actually wearing a muzzle.
Oh wow.
You're going to have a dog park here.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's what you're looking for.
Yeah, barking, I don't know. That'll be rough.
Yeah.
We'll have to think about that for sure. That's a lot of dogs right
That is a lot of dogs, and and they're doing the job they've been trained to do, which is protect the family, the house.
there.
And apparently there was a selection of 2 dogs, which is also a security thing, but it just makes this kind of a dog fest here. Okay, so the same sort of story here. You're watering grass right next to the house, and that's just begging for trouble. We need to get water away from your foundation. I thought for a minute this was unfinished, but that's just a mortar there, cement. You can see that we've got some plaster down there that's spalled, and that's not a big deal. You look at the spalling going on under here, and this of course is not awesome. What's happening is you're just getting water that's rolling over the edges, and you're getting freeze thaw under here. It'll be another 10 to 20 years before that starts to really affect anything from a structural point of view, but it doesn't look good. So you could just plaster that. You just get this loose stuff off and re-plaster that, and that would look a lot better.
Yeah, we'd probably end up moving despite the dogs. I don't know. Is it worth walking into something that...
It's just going to be a pain in the butt forever?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. So this guy here, this is a better faucet than the one in back.
It's further away from the house.
But it's you got a couple of inches of plumbing back here that is supposed to be protected by the house. So now once again we're worried about that freezing. No self-respecting plumber would do that. But it sounds like you've got some plumbing skills.
Yeah, but well, looking at the freeze-proof bib invoices that I've looked at, they're pricey, and it implies to me that it's something that I should have a professional do.
Yeah. Yeah, the hardware, I haven't priced one of those out recently. I'd expect they'd be in the, $45 range?
The hardware, yeah. Well, the job, they would charge about $500 or so.
Yeah, that makes sense. And does that include the sheetrock repair after the fact?
I think so.
Yeah, that sounds like a good price. Yeah, remove the sheetrock, change the plumbing, repair the sheetrock. Yeah, that's a good price. Okay, I think it'll be easiest. We'll get on the roof a little later, and we'll do it from that backside.
So basically, my main goal out here would just be to make sure the sprinklers pointed away from the house.
Right. Yeah, you place them away, and then you point them away.
Yeah.
So you see this little arc that looks like it used to be a flower garden, and then they'll let the grass grow in.
Yeah.
I'd expose that arc again. Give yourself, at least 4 or 5 feet, and then only spray away from the house.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, they've put some money and some time into this house. Is this a flip home? Do you know?
It looks to me like it is, just because the owner owned it for about 2.5 years or so. Turned down to sell it. And looking at the pictures on Google Maps, they redid the siding, the roof, and it looks like the carpeting and other stuff. So to me, it's coming across as a homeowner flipper.
Yeah. So I might have to run out and grab my tape measure, but it looks like we've got a much higher first step than the rest of them. We probably have 7.5, 8 inches on all these and 10 there. Let me grab my I don't use my tape measure very often, so it's one of the things that goes in here. And there's some things you want to have a couple of. Tape measures are one of them. Flashlights, I have 3 or 4. And screwdrivers are in that on that list as well. Okay, so yeah, we've got, it's like about 9.5 inches, and then here we've got 7.5 inches. So stairway experts will tell you that if the stairways are not consistent, then people start tripping. Do you have any elderly people that are going to be breaking their bones on that?
Probably my father. We're using part of his retirement fund to help buy the house.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to hopefully live with us.
Okay.
He decide to retire, or when he does, I guess. He's 74, and he's convinced he's not going to retire.
Yeah, I get that. So
This door stopper is questionable as well.
yeah, that's got some miles on it. So if you don't need him breaking his leg on things,
We probably have to raise or lower this.
yeah, and raising this is going to be difficult because you got this door swinging out that pretty much controls the elevations here. So then you'd have to rebuild the stairs. That's a bummer. But having him break his leg is even more of a bummer.
Yeah. Put orange tape on that first step or something.
Yeah. You could split the difference. I mean, if you got a bunch of 7.5s and then a 9.5, you could maybe just add some lumber on a couple of them to bring that more even. Should we call this the living room? Yeah, they've definitely put some money in the place, haven't they?
Yeah.
So here's a capital gains thing. If you live in the home for 2 years or longer, you don't have to pay capital gains on the increase. So that's different than a flip. Kind of in the same category, but
That's pretty much what they've done here, it sounds like.
yeah. I know a number of people who do that. They'll build a home and then live in it for 2 years and sell it and do it again. By the time they got to their 5th or their 6th home, they own it.
Yeah, it sounds like a lot of work too, though.
Definitely. Now this is something I haven't seen in a while. You've got the popcorn ceiling up here. And, you know, we could test to make sure if you want, but that's asbestos. Back in the 90s when I got started, it was about 50-50, but the easy non-asbestos ones have long since been removed. And one way to deal with it is to paint it, and they did, but it's still asbestos.
So you're saying by this point, whatever popcorn ceilings are left out in the world are most likely asbestos ones?
Yep. Yep.
Yeah. I did some asbestos abatement for a season. Did some seasonal work about 10 years ago. Wow, 10 years ago. And yeah, there's extra costs involved getting that removed because it's a hazardous waste.
Right now, as a homeowner, if you remove it, you can just put it in the garbage can, throw it away.
Well, you're right, but
Yes.
my asbestos licensing that I went through for a couple weeks tells me I shouldn't. But
Yes.
no, I know what you mean.
You're legally allowed.
Yeah, but at the same time, my
Yeah.
hindsight here.
Your gut says don't.
Right.
You see how we're, you know, this is a newer fixture here, but it's not well attached. Thus far, the electrical is behaving. Yeah, they've definitely put some nickels into this place.
Oh yeah, and then the water filtration system's also new. Is what I read on the
Nice.
thing. So.
So these are all doing what they should. We'll give the oven a minute to kick on. How are we doing for hot there?
Room temperature still.
Okay. Now,
So Becca, we've got a large tank, filtration tank under the sink that is taking up quite a bit of space under the counter, or under the sink.
So what's going on there is this is a water filtration system. You've got some filters going over here, and that's great, but there's a lot of different kinds of things you can do with a filtration system. You can go for sediments and dissolved solids and hardness, calcium and magnesium. You can go with heavy metals. You can go with bacteriologics. There's a massive list. So, okay, they've got the hot forward, so that's hot and cold plumb backwards. But A, you're going to want to make sure that the filters that are in there are the ones that you want to be in there. And B, understand that if it doesn't get maintained, then that's the grossest water in town. And it's not helping you with anything. Gotcha. Okay, so let's see. I'm going to write in hot and cold plumb backwards. And filtration system needs maintenance. Okay, granite is nice.
What should be worried about?
I noticed there are some humps in this floor.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can see them as you kind of look around.
I can feel them as I go through.
And generally, that's not a structural thing. The home was built in the 70s, and 70s construction is notorious. If you wanted, and if you were willing to remove your floor, there is
To redo it, basically.
yeah, you could get it flat. There's a self-leveling compound that pours out like water.
Okay.
And then it hardens, and then you got a flat floor. Until then, you've got
Lumpy floors.
an adventure. Lumpy floors. I like that. We'll go with that one.
And what about this up here as well?
Yeah, this was a cool thing to do back in the 90s. Recessed lighting. And then you've got probably losing my words today. Fluorescent, thank you. I would lose all of the above if you got the budget to do that.
Yeah, it'd be nice to get some LEDs. Or lights, they're called.
I'm going to use your word. We're going to go with lumpy.
Thanks.
Okay, so this was on, which means how do we turn it off?
Maybe that side there.
Okay. Yeah, fluorescent lighting. And you got a lot of asbestos going here, but it's helpful for me to know that you've been there and done that before. You can, if you want to test it, you can take a sample of this and go to Dixon Labs.
Okay.
Are you familiar with them already?
No, but I can look them up.
Yeah, they're on about 24th South and like West Temple. And they would charge you $25 for a sample set, where if I did it and did the same thing, I'd charge you 100 and some change.
Gotcha. Yeah, the popcorn ceiling, I'm not too worried about.
Okay, so the GFCI that protects the half bathroom here, there is this one here. You see that it's popped out, and so there's no power. To reset it, you just do this.
Oh, that's weird. Does it have it all the way over here?
So the idea is, let's say you're working in the sink, you're blow drying your hair or whatever, you've got some toast in the toaster. Toaster drops in the sink and you go in after it. you're mixing water and power, and you get fried. The GFCI prevents that because if it detects a short, then it disables the line.
Right.
So,
but Teresa said it's all in here for both bathrooms?
yeah, and this one will probably protect the downstairs as well.
Okay.
This is an interesting sink and toilet setup. I would have put the toilet the other way so that
But
you
they got the vent there.
have a little bit of space. Yeah.
Going back to the master bathroom, it's smaller than I remember.
Yeah, it's they could have rearranged things and created a lot more working space in here.
Yeah, because the door barely misses the counter for the sink.
Yeah, and you step out of the the tub here and you're stepping on the toilet.
Yeah.
And by the way, our hot and cold is plumb backwards here as well. And then how tall are you?
I'm 6 foot.
Okay, I'm 6'0", 6'1" with these shoes on, and if I was in here showering, I'd be getting this sheetrock wet here.
Yeah.
And you don't need a mold problem. So, I'm going to recommend you extend the surrounds, and that would be just, you could just go tile for another 1 foot.
This is why you're the expert. You know, for some reason I'm like going, oh no, I'm taking all these things into myself, going, oh no, I'm going to have to do all of this, but I'm like, wait, I haven't bought the house yet. Huh? I can make that guy try to fix it if he wants to.
Yeah.
Or have it lower the price. Be like, look.
And this market isn't the insanity that it used to be. You know, where basically you had to pay $60,000 over and then ask for nothing.
Yeah.
You can get the sellers to do some things, but generally just one or two. These aren't huge items thus far. We'll find a huge item. Probably your asbestos is your biggest one right now.
Yeah.
But the list isn't too bad thus far. It's just tasks, but nothing preventing you from moving in. Now, you said you don't have kids.
Right.
You've got a lock on this door. If you had a 3-year-old and this got locked accidentally, that gets traumatizing.
Yeah, there's no key there. It's just the bathroom.
Yeah.
Okay, unlock easily.
I would just put a standard bedroom latch on that so that nobody's getting locked in. I guess it doesn't matter for you right now. You notice the squeakiness of the floor.
Yeah. Yeah, Mike was saying that's just how they constructed in the 70s, basically, as well. I
Yeah.
You said that as well, so.
Yeah, it just kind of happened. I've got a home that was built 2 years ago, and we were very careful to avoid that, and I've still got them. So, is what it is. This guy here, that is interconnected, which is good news. That means they had to do some screw things into the asbestos, which is not great. What do we call this bedroom?
It's just called bedroom 1.
Okay.
Or it could be called the northeast bedroom.
Let's go with both. I'll go with 1 northeast. Next will be 2 northwest, or
Perfect. I hate squeaking.
uh-huh.
I mean, there's only what we have in our budget, and
So one thing you can do, and this doesn't cost you much if you do it yourself,
right.
you know what I'm going to tell you. You pull up the
Fold the
floor
carpets
and put some screws down. So it's helpful that we have these old doors. I mean, they're in great shape, but I don't think you can buy doors like that anymore. Those babies look like they were 1960 and then they got painted.
Yeah.
So that's helpful because that tells me that that we don't have a meth house here.
Yeah, that's good actually. Saw a couple of those. They were in our budget.
I'm sure they.
Unfortunately, we're not in the line of distributing masks.
Yeah. Well.
Not yet, anyway.
Yeah, I hear it's a good way to pay for things. Okay. Honeycombing here, that's not a structural issue. That just means they sucked back in the 70s, and they always do suck in the 70s. You see the white going on here.
That's water and salt.
Yeah, yep, that's calcium getting through, and that's called efflorescence, long-term slow water entry. You want to, doesn't affect the structure. It just tells you that you need to be a little more careful than previous owners about keeping water away from the house.
Yeah, you can also see it kind of kick out here a little bit.
Yeah, but this space is pretty clean. What are you going to do with this space?
Well, if we have the money for it, we'd probably turn it into a bedroom suite for my dad to stay in.
Oh, yeah.
Because I noticed there's the drain, the water drain over here
Mm-hmm.
for potential bathroom area. And then we've got the gas and the water line right above on the ceiling.
You can see that there's been a good deal of water going on down here.
Yeah.
You got this water history here running down.
So where it comes from.
Yeah.
It's maybe that.
Yeah, so that black, by the way, that's char, not mold.
Yeah.
They were soldering the copper there in place,
Mm-hmm.
and that causes char. There's a guy that I've heard of who calls that mold, and then he charges a couple $1,000s to remediate the mold problem.
Wow.
So,
Well, I guess he's making a lot of money off of that.
yes, he is. So you've got this little plumbing line here that goes probably to your ice maker.
Okay.
And I would expect that a guy like that is probably the reason why you have a mold or a water history down below. So does the washer and dryer stay?
Yes, I think so. Washer, dryer, both refrigerators.
Okay. Both fridges, huh?
Yeah. We already have our own washer dryer. We'll definitely get replacements, I think.
So this is your sprinkler timer valve.
Okay.
We don't know anything about it right now other than the grass looks reasonably healthy. You'll find out a whole lot more when they charge the water on April 15th.
Yeah, they look like they're in good condition. But
Yeah.
his parents are saying they might want those. So
Who's saying they might want them?
my wife says that her parents
Okay.
might want those.
2019 on the water heater. That's what you told me, right?
Yeah.
So
Or
we've
no, it was just on the furnace. The furnace and the AC were replaced just this year. So I didn't know about the water heater.
2019. That's a 40-gallon unit. You've got the 4-inch vent. You've got the earthquake strap. We need a combustion air source in here. And I am not seeing one.
Is this you're talking about gas?
Yeah, that's gas. So here's the deal. When in the 70s, when this home was built, you'd put in your furnace and water heater, and you've got air leaving through this flue and through this one, right? But the house is like a straw. Air can't leave from one side unless it's being replaced from the other. So back in the 70s, what they would do is they would put gaps in the between the base, or between this room and the rest of the house, and then it would draw from the house, and the house would in turn draw from the leaky doors and windows. Anymore, the idea is that the doors and windows have been updated, and you can't rely on that anymore. So you're actually supposed to bring a pipe in from the exterior and that's called your combustion air source. It brings in replacement air for the air that's leaving through the flues. Okay. So I'm going to write in that that's not there. And of course I've seen some people say, well, there's a window, you can open the window, but you can also close it. Yeah, this baby is new. We have
just a standard heating filter.
Yeah, you can do better than this.
Oh yeah.
So we put, you see how there's a hole in the middle.
Why is that?
Because we got a piece of hardware in the way. So this is a 30-day filter that's been here for a year and a half. You're going to want to put in a 4-inch filter because you got the space for it here. And this is my best example of why I really strain at not changing the house, because I really don't want to put this filter back in.
And changing the house? For changing the filter, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, changing the filter is changing the house.
Yeah. Let's see what's there I've read some work done by my technicians. They don't typically like the Goodman brand.
Mm-hmm.
And Mike, the realtor, was also just saying, yeah, I'll probably just use that until it burns out and then just replace the whole thing.
Yep. But this one's here to stay for at least another decade.
Yeah, because they did just replace it. So.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's gorgeous in there. So they've made up for not changing the filter by just replacing the furnace. That's not something I would suggest that you do.
I've replaced the filters in my lifetime.
That's good. So in here in the garage, how many electrical outlets do you see?
There's one right here.
Yeah. So now my question to you is, what do you use the garage for? Do you have tools that you charge, or is this just a place to put your cars?
I've got some electrical things that need to be charged.
Okay, so you're going to want to run some more electrical.
And or a heater.
Yes.
So really cold in here. I guess it's also because we probably don't have any having any insulation.
Yeah, garages don't have to be insulated in Utah. So. Okay. So yeah, 1 was the minimum requirement back in the 70s. It doesn't really make a very good, it's not very useful.
Yeah. Which is interesting as well, because they've got the electrical breaker generator.
Yeah. This will typically be inside the house. If this home was built yesterday, this would be improper, but it does grandfather. Okay, let's see what joys we've got in here. So this actually looks pretty good. You see how consistent they brought things in. It's not squared perfectly, but it's pretty good. And we don't have any double taps.
Not yet, anyway.
It's a full box. We don't have any aluminum. We got aluminum up here, but this is a heavier gauge wire, so that's okay. This guy up here is aluminum as well, you see that. But heavier gauge aluminum is allowed. But if you wanted to put anything more in here, you'd have to swap out one of these kind of breakers for one of these that has 2.
Okay.
And you got 100 amps on the exterior, but if you're only just adding a few outlets here, you should be fine.
If I were to go crazy and I wanted to ask your thoughts about solar on the roof as well, because I think solar on the roof is a good idea. I like the idea of being ready for the zombie apocalypse happening and just having a power source.
Right.
I guess at that point, I'd probably be looking to the solar roof installers to update that.
So unless you had batteries, if the power goes out, you're as hosed as everybody else.
Okay.
And I've got a 1-hour course on that, but yeah, the idea is that when the sun is out and you're generating electricity, it goes immediately into the system.
Okay.
Now, if you got batteries, that whole equation changes. But batteries can be spendy.
Steady. Okay.
So you'll want to look into that.
Okay.
Okay, I'm going to ask you.
There is the outlet here on the ceiling.
Say that again.
There's an outlet here on the ceiling.
Okay, as there should be for your garage door opener. It's interesting they put a smoke alarm out here. If that's an island, meaning that it's not connected to anything else, if there was a fire here, you probably wouldn't hear it anyway. Now, one thing you can do is get the Alexa type alarms, and then they will all communicate with each other through Wi-Fi, and even if you're at work, you would know. So that might be a good idea. Let me ask you to run the garage door up and down a few times. So the first thing I'm going to check is these photo sensors. These look like these have been updated. Now your height here, you've got this car. Do you have a truck or anything?
Not yet.
So your height is not going to be a problem. Go ahead and run that down. Okay. So if Fido ever walks across, then it doesn't get smashed. Go ahead and do that again. So you see the pressure, I'm exerting pressure on this and it just keeps going down.
So it does hit somebody, it's going to hit them.
Say that again.
If it hits somebody, it will hit them.
Yeah, it'll continue to crush them. I have a son-in-law who told me that when he was a kid, they used to actually lay underneath the garage door and have it hit their rib cage so they could prove how tough they are.
Sounds like a broken rib.
Yeah. So I'm going to write in pressure fail. Go ahead and raise it again and we'll test one more item. Now the pressure fail is an easy item to adjust right there at the garage door opener. Okay, and run it back down again, if you would.
I press the button. Let me...
Well, maybe it was sensing me. Okay, this time I'm testing the springs. Well, that's awesome. That doesn't usually happen. You want to be able to disconnect your garage door from the door opener and have it not slam like a guillotine, and it definitely didn't. Okay, go ahead and do that again. All right. Okay.
I'm going to let you figure that out.
Yeah. Yeah, this is going to be fun, pushing the asbestos around so we can get into the attic.
Well, what I read in the course is there is a very, very small percentage of asbestos in this your everyday air anymore.
I remember as a kid in the late 70s, maybe it was the early 70s, my dad was spraying the basement with this stuff, and he goes, "There's this way cool new invention, it's called asbestos." And he was just dumping it into the mix, and there was this plume of asbestos fibers. And
It's like cotton candy.
yeah, exactly.
My dad had a similar experience with shoveling concrete and fixing it.
Okay.
I even had some crazy coworkers during the asbestos abatement. Like, we're all wearing our masks, and then these coworkers, they just didn't wear their masks at all. Like, oh, we're fine. Like, you know what?
I bet OSHA might have had something to say about that.
Oh, I'm sure they would have. Sure.
So you've got an old swamp cooler flue, which is never a surprise. They just took the swamper off the roof. Swampers generally cause rot on the roof, and there's a little bit of that here. Come on, phone, work with me. If you get up here, you can see where some of that has happened. But this is a very consistent rafter design. Your insulation varies from about 4 inches to up to about 12, but the vast majority of it is probably 5. I don't see a lot of critter history going on. The ventilation, you've got gable vents, and then you got the 4 turtle vents. And the swamp cooler damage isn't enough that I would expect you would go through, or that snow would cause
Please charge it in time.
that kind of damage. So overall, not bad. Yeah, I'm glad it didn't get any worse, but they stopped it before it got too nasty.
Cool. Cool. Looks like a lot of fun up there.
I was doing one of those home makeover things like the show,
Yeah.
and they had a roof that was rotted out. We had a dude up there that was about 250, and he actually did go through.
Oh, wow.
But that roof looked 1,000 times worse than this.
Oh, sorry. I should have gotten that.
Oh, all good. My job.
Please charge it in time.
hard to tell when COVID prices are going to go back down. Because they
Yeah.
come up with things.
And with inflation, I wonder if they'll just remain where they are and then go up. But I mean, there's been a whole bunch of money added to the economy and no products. So you'd expect things to go up in price, but there should be, more and more products.
Please charge it in time. Please charge it in time.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy when dogs become the one thing that makes you most want to not buy the house.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't really get bothered too much by it. They start yapping at us the moment we come out the sliding door. And then
That-
there's
Please charge it in time.
That is a newer roof. It's a cheaper material, but it should give you 20 to 25 years, probably more like 25. You want to take a look?
Yeah.
I'd get up on there, but it's a new roof. There's not much to see.
But also
Yeah, I need to actually take a picture of that now that I'm thinking of it.
but it's mainly just the one gutter. I could probably do that myself pretty easily.
Right. Shoot.
Please charge it in time.
Yeah, but we probably would be leaving our dog outside. He's got separation anxiety as it is,
Yeah.
which is the main reason why he is aggressive. So we wouldn't leave him outside by himself. But these other dogs.
Yeah, as much time as they spend around each other, you'd expect them to get used to each other and let them into the pack.
Yeah.
But I guess they don't do that. My dad.
I'll get the bar.
Okay.
Please charge it in time.
Yeah, five out of the 6.
My dad died an old man, 91, but he had a dog that would always bark at him,
Yeah.
and so he'd bark back, and that just pissed the dog off. And then one day, he was out on the front of the house, and the dog got let out somehow, and it went straight for him and bit the crap out of him.
Please charge it in time.
Yeah, that didn't turn out well.
What kind of damage did he suffer?
Some bites in the calf and the ankle, and then he fell, and then there was falling issues because he was barely able to stand up anyway.
Yeah, old people and dogs, it's not a good combination.
Yeah. Definitely not. But,
Get his face or hands in it.
no. No, it didn't. But it was, I think, a lesson to him not to antagonize the dogs.
Anything, just give him treat.
That's right. Dog treats go
A long way.
much further than tormenting them.
Please charge it in time. 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 charge it in time. Please 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 charge it in time.
Sure. Yeah, if you would.
Please charge it in time. 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 charge it in time. Please 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 charge it in time.